Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening, good afternoon, or maybe good morning to everyone who attended this presentation, streaming wherever you are, actually. Okay, thank you so much. I am Syafiq Faliq bin Alfan. So today I would like to present to you about some interesting topic regarding NOH, Mak Yong, and cultural evolution theory. So let's get it on. Before I started, I would like to ask you this question. Maybe some things that you would like to talk about or think about. Okay, so have you ever wondered why Malaysian Chinese have the tradition of giving money or ang pao, as they say, during Chinese New Year, while the Malay give money or duit raya during Idul Fitri? Or simply why the Arab in Saudi Arabia does not give money even though they celebrate Idul Fitri like the Malay in Malaysia? Or simply have you heard of something like this in your family? For example, like you behave just like your father or mother. Atau bahasa orang Malaysia, ni dah besar-besar pun ketegak macam Pak Hang. So, have you heard anything like this? Okay. Is it a coincidence? Or with that question in mind, now we can start our presentation. So this is the title of my presentation today, which is Understanding Mak Yong and NOH Motion Capture Data Comparative Analysis Through Cultural Evolution Theory. Oh, it sounds so long and you might be confused by a lot of things in this title. So yes, don't worry about it. I will guide you through step by step. This is outline of presentation. First of all, I would like to discuss about what is cultural evolution before we start anything. I would like to explain to you what is cultural evolution. And secondly, why I choose Mak Yong and NOH as the subject of my research. Thirdly, the motion capture experiment result that I recently obtained from my lab session. And the next is cultural evolution in perspective, just to give you some sort of understanding on why and how we could utilize this theory in our understanding on the topic that we are going to discuss today, especially in the realm or in the area of comparative study between two different performing arts. And lastly, future of performing arts research in Malaysia using cultural evolution theory. So first of all, what is cultural evolution? I'm sure a lot of you have heard of a scientist named Charles Darwin. So cultural evolution theory is a concept that is stemmed from the theory on biological evolution that was proposed by Charles Darwin 100 years ago, hundreds of years ago. So it is suggested that human culture too, not only biologically, also evolve through process that causes changes in cultural variations over time. So how can this happen? Some of these processes includes transmission, variation, cultural selection, cultural drift, natural selection, and migration. So I know there's a lot of words that you might be confused, but let me just bring it to you just one particular word that might be that you can actually relate to in your daily life. For example, migration. So think about this. Have you ever thought about if there is a possibility that the Indian in Malaysia, whether their culture are the same with those of Indian people in India, in the country of India? So even if the Indian in Malaysia, their ancestors coming from a place called Tamil Nadu, okay, so if they are celebrating Deepavali, so are they celebrating it the same way like the people in Tamil Nadu. Think about that. Or maybe if you know some Javanese people who are already live here in Malaysia, do they have the same culture like they have with Javanese people back in the Java Island in Indonesia today? So if there are differences, and why does that happen? And if there are differences, meaning that the culture has already evolved and adapting to their local where they live as of now. And next, I would like to discuss why do I choose Mak Yong and NOH as the subject of my research. I was actually triggered by my observation made on the aesthetic of Mak Yong movements and dance because it does not actually resemble Indian classical dance. And why do I stress on this word? Because in previous study, one of the researchers said that some of the hand positions in Mak Yong actually resembles Indian classical dance. But when I observe it closely, the style of movements, the quality of movements itself, it does not actually resemble Indian classical dance. You can actually go to YouTube right now, just go to the YouTube right now and type Indian classical dance. And please look at how the Indian classical dance was performed or performed by the people in India. And because there are several Indian classical dance forms, so you can look at those various types of Indian classical dance and try to compare it with Mak Yong. And what do you observe from this? So if you look at it closely, Indian classical dance are very strong and powerful and very quick and very energetic. It is not the same like Mak Yong dance, which is a little bit more graceful, a little bit more elegant, a little bit more slow than Indian classical dance. So this is why it sparked my interest on focusing on Mak Yong and trying to compare it with NOH. And of course, the use of mask in Mak Yong 100 years ago, as reported by William Waterskin in the Malay Magic, published in 1900, also is being used right now in Riau and Serdang. So why does the mask was utilized in Mak Yong 100 years ago in Malay Peninsula, and as of today, it is not being practiced by the people in the east coast of Malaysia or the southern Thai in Patani or in Kelantan, which is being reported by various researchers and also the artists, Mak Yong artists themselves, as the birthplace or the origin of Mak Yong dance. And why is Riau still using mask in their performance? And even Serdang, which is located in North Sumatra. So the use of mask is actually a feature that is rarely seen in traditional performing arts, which is why I think this is very interesting to pursue. And next, I would like to start a discourse of multilineal evolution in performing arts in Malaysia. So when I say multilineal evolution, it means that when a performing arts evolve from one form to another, it means that it does not actually transform directly from one form to another. For example, maybe this is just an example. For example, maybe Mek Mulung was transformed from Mak Yong. No, that's not the case. When I say multilineal evolution, it means that the form was inspired or influenced by various culture from various sources. For example, in Mak Yong, as you all know, they use rebab, and rebab is actually an instrument that is believed to be originated from the Middle East. So meaning that Mak Yong already received the Middle Eastern influence in its form, but we are not sure how it is being transformed or transmitted into the Malay culture in the East Coast or the Southern Thai. Of course, the next is I would like to compare and observe the path of cultural evolution in Mak Yong and NOH due to the effect of socio-economic, environment, religion, folk belief, and politics in the past. So I would like to see like how the socio-economic, environment, religion, folk belief, and politics in the past influence or affects the process of evolution in Mak Yong and NOH. So their evolutionary path might be different. So I would like to see that. The next is I would like to explain to you the motion capture result that I obtained from my recent experiment. So as you can see, both of these pictures are myself performing Mak Yong menghadap rebab, the opening dance in Mak Yong, and also NOH Hagoromo Shinmai from Kanze school style that I learned last year in February. So my experiment actually is conducted in the Hiroshima University in Graduate School of Integrated Arts and Science under the supervision of Professor Dr. Masahiro Shinya. Next, I would like to explain to you the motion capture result. What I found out that the choreography on Mak Yong and NOH was affected by the dance space, costume, and other paraphernalia important for the performance, meaning that the things that influencing the choreography on Mak Yong are these factors: the dance space, the costume, and other paraphernalia. So how did I get this? From motion capture data. In the motion capture data, it shows that the data that I got from the hand, the head, and the feet markers shown that, for example, NOH uses a lot of space in their performance. And why is that as compared to Mak Yong? It's because the dance space in NOH is actually bigger than Mak Yong, because Mak Yong is used to be performed in a smaller scale. In the traditional stage are very much smaller than NOH. NOH stage are very huge in terms of its construction, either in the outside, the outdoor stage or indoor stage. And of course, the dance is also affected in choreography by the costume and other paraphernalia. For example, if you look the previous slides, you could see that I'm holding a folding fan. So this folding fan is actually very important in NOH performance. Without this fan, you could not performing NOH as it should, because this is one of the very important props that you need to bring on the stage. So among all of these observations that I got from my motion capture data, it shows that both Mak Yong and NOH in choreography does not actually emphasize feet movement in the Z-axis direction. So what does it mean actually? So imagine that my left hand is actually the floor. So the feet for the choreography of both Mak Yong and NOH does not actually focuses on the movements on this vertical axis. Of course, they need to step in forward and backward, but not this way. As you can see, so when this happens, choreography, usually it is in the form of jumping action or normal human action, not actually dancing in terms in Mak Yong and also in NOH. So this is one of the data that I obtained from my experimental observation in the lab. So what does this mean actually? I'm moving forward into the cultural evolution in perspective. So past researchers shows that we could observe the diffusion of certain styles and movements across communities throughout the world. There is one particular research that shows that a dance in Xinjiang is actually have a similar movements with belly dance in Egypt using the motion capture data, even though that belly dance in Egypt does not actually have direct connection with the Xinjiang dance in China. So this shows that there could be some diffusion of culture from one location to another, despite they are not having any direct connection with each other. If this is the case, so meaning that there is a similarity in choreography preferences in Mak Yong and NOH, so meaning that in Mak Yong and NOH also, it could be that they are somehow connected to previous ancestral form of influence. Now remember what I talked about when I said about multilineal cultural evolution. So the thing is, when we think about multilineal cultural evolution, is that it does not actually transform from one particular form to another, but it is actually coming from different kind of influences. So meaning that one of those influences could be somehow related to the ancestral form of the both Mak Yong and NOH in the past. And among many influences received by Mak Yong, as I said, some could be connected to the East Asian aesthetic tradition, because this is what connecting Mak Yong and NOH. And as we all know, or maybe some of you know, that Patani was once one of the important trading ports that received ships coming from the west and the east between 16th and 17th century. Even one of the researchers said that there are even old Chinese cemetery, and it could be the second oldest Chinese cemetery in the Malay Peninsula. This is mentioned by Wayne Bogus in one of his research findings. And this shows that there are Chinese communities that settled in Patani in the past. And there are a few reports in the 16th century by the 17th century by the European traders that says that they saw a huge amount of community, the huge number of community, Chinese community, and it is comparable with the local Malay community in Patani. So meaning that the Chinese community in Patani is sizable as compared to the Malay community. So from this research or from this report, we could say that there could be a connection, or there could be a diffusion of culture between the Chinese community to the Malay community. But as of now, we need to extend and further our research in order to confirm this. And how does the Malay and Chinese community interact in the past, and how there is a possibility of this interaction leads to a diffusion of cultural evolution, or diffusion of culture from one community to another. Okay, so where do we go from here? One of my suggestions for the future of performing arts research using cultural evolution theory is that Malaysia should build its own digital library on intangible heritage, such as traditional performing arts for future studies, because this is very important, as some of the performing arts or traditional performing arts are on the verge of extinction, because the current generations or the newer generation may not be so excited to inherit the tradition, or maybe because they have no interest of inheriting the tradition from their forefathers, or maybe their parents, or maybe their grandparents, or from the elder generation. So I think that having this repository or a digital humanities library, we could actually extend our research in the future using this data that we have. And I would say that secondly, future research should focus on phylogenetic studies of performing arts across regions and communities to compare pattern of movements. So what do I mean by phylogenetic studies? So phylogenetic studies is actually the study of the evolution of a species And if we translated it to the digital humanity or in cultural evolution, we could actually look into the cultural evolution of certain performing arts or intangible heritage, so that we could track how one performing arts evolve to other performing arts, or maybe give influence to other performing arts. So this is very important for us in the future. And study of performing arts through cultural evolution epistemological view will enrich our understanding on Malaysian traditional performing arts in relation to the world's performing arts development and evolution across regions. So if we start to discuss the cultural evolution of our performing arts, we could compare with other performing arts in other parts of the world, for example, in Europe, in East Asia, or maybe in Middle East. So that we could compare the data that we have as of now, and we are no longer secluded or secluded from the rest of the world, because as of now, the view or the approach for the performing arts is that we treat it as a very special to our own locality, instead of relating it also to the progress of humanity as a whole. So relating our performing arts or our tradition with the rest of the world will enrich our understanding of human development in cultural evolution, so that we could understand humanity as a whole, how one cultural evolution progress from one stage to another. So this will enrich our understanding humanity, not only us as a Malaysia, but also as humanity, as human in the sense of humanity. So with that note, I would like to end the first part of my presentation. Thank you so much for attending to my presentation. I hope that you could gain a lot of information, new knowledge from my presentation. But before we go, please don't go away, because we have second part of the presentation where we will present me with my NOH sensei, which is Tatsushige Udaka from Kyoto of Kongo School. We would like to present a story of Oimatsu. So stay put, stay around, so don't go away. Hope that you could join us in a little while, rightly after this, and hope you enjoy our presentation. I'll see you soon.
This is Tatsushige Udaka. I am a NOH actor in Japan. And what is NOH? NOH is a traditional masked theater in Japan from 14th century. And yeah, we use mask as a character. For example, this is a mask of a woman, and yeah, it looks, she looks like a ancient person, because she shaved eyebrows and she painted on the top of over her face, and she put the black paint on her teeth. So it looks strange because yeah, the good makeup is always changing. So 1,000 years ago, maybe this is the most beautiful makeup in Japan. But inside of the human is not so different. For example, she has a very good lover, and she fell in love with her lover. Sometimes she looks down as crying or with some sadness, but she's smiling when she feels happy. So we treat mask's angle, and this slight angle can be different expression. So we stand up as a very straight body, and we walk to keep the angle of face to control slight angle of mask. So we don't walk as usual on the stage. We have to keep straight. So the way of dancing becomes drawing circle, not like up and down. So this is basic of no dance, and we wear kimono. So the kimono is a good way to keep this posture with no twisting. Western clothes can twist, yeah, as you like, but Japanese kimono is weak for twisting. So we don't twist over this shoulder, yeah. So for example, baseball player can move like this, but the samurai can move as one wall. And we have big sleeves, so we treat this as one drawing picture. Or we can extend or make smaller as for example, power of a character. Very strong character or very shy character, or breathing, inhale, exhale. So it's not only the movement of arms. This is movement of space. We can keep this space and it becomes smaller or bigger. This is, basic movement of no acting. And we use many things as same as the other theater. For example, jumping or stamping or turning to see the very beautiful sight, or to see inside of the character, crying, smiling, tell the story. And this is, Japanese way of telling. So we keep energy inside of the actor, and we try to show very abstract things. So this is not like a movie show. This is like to read novel. Audiences can imagine with these performance to create real story inside of audiences thinking or feeling. And now we try to do oimatsu performance. Oimatsu is one of repertory. We have 208 repertories as a additional thing. Yeah, of course, today many actors create new no, but this is traditional no, 208. So oimatsu, yeah, it's hard to explain about whole story, but we try to do very end of oimatsu play, and the main character is spirit of a pine tree, and the pine tree has a eternal youth because root and branches looks very old, like big stones or big rock, but each leaves has a green evergreen color. It's a symbol of youth, eternal youth, long life and youth, and spirit of old pine tree put the essence of eternal youth to the audiences. And this is a performance of new spring. So cold winter is gone and the new spring is coming. So it's like a happy song of New Year. Or it can be birthday song for someone. Yeah. Every movement has no meaning. It's like a white paper. It's a totally abstract movement. For example, this movement made from pointing sunrise, but this meaning is totally vanished. This is main character point brilliant future. This is good future. It's not like this. And next, this movement made from when you shiny, you can use hand, but it's vanished. It's some message from pine trees spirit. We promise to protect you. You means maybe the audiences or the other character on the stage. And this message moves with spring, warm, warm wind. Then the plum flower is blooming and new spring is coming and everyone be happy. Then finally, the actor catch many things what the actor spread out. So this is a world of no. I catch everything and keep it inside of the fun. Yeah, inside of the fun, there is a many story of no theater. This is final movement of Shimai. Yeah. So audiences can imagine new spring coming with movement and chanting. Yeah. And the first line chant by main actor, and the other one will chanted by chorus. So now I will be chorus and you will be main actor.
Yo wa io sasukuru kono kimi no
wa io sasukuru kono kimi